Hey guys, Sean Murphy here. Thank you so much for the request. And let me tell you this, from one podcast to another, you can use this for your intro if you want. So if you're ready, here we go. Snooker Loopy, nuts are we, me and him and them and me. We'll show you what we can do with a load of balls and a snooker cue. Pop the reds and screw back for the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink and black. Snooker Loopy, nuts are we, we're all Snooker Loopy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Snooker Loopy podcast. My name is Tom Mayhew and I'm joined as always by Stone Cold Joe Hannard.
Good evening, Hazel. Good evening, everybody at home, and welcome to another annual version of our Shootout preview. Obviously, we've got the UK Championship to review, but it's become a bit of a cult classic of me and you, Tom. At least we love this moment. I'm sure some of the viewers love it as well. But we've got our Q School predictions and our Shootout predictions, and they're probably my two favourite podcasts of the entire year.
I don't know another podcast who do it, so I think it's a bit of a niche, really. I think most podcasts probably don't even pay attention to the Shootout.
Yeah, well, they certainly don't pay attention to Q School, I would imagine. So, at least the Shootout is a ranking event.
That's true. Q School will be a ranking event before long.
It will be, with 500,000 to the winner. So whoever wins Q School ends up in the top 16 for the next 2 years.
Ronnie will drop off the tour just so he can enter.
Yeah, and then he'll lose to some random numpty, as Ronnie calls them. But yeah, how are you doing, Tom?
Yes, I'm not too bad. I enjoyed the start of the proper snooker season, as we like to call it on the podcast. Yes. The UK Championship was a fantastic event. The Victorian Plumbing UK Championship. Have to make sure we get that sponsor in.
Yeah, because, we're being sponsored by Victorian Plumbing as well, so at least I think we are.
But yes, did you enjoy the first Triple Crown event, and how are you, Joe?
Yes, I'm good. I absolutely loved it, Tom. It is crazy, just having the snooker on constantly on the telly. There's only two other times that ever happens, and that is the Masters and the World Championship for me. It just putting it on, no matter what the match was. I was watching it all the way through to its conclusion when I could watch it. And I don't know about you, Tom, but watching the very opening titles of the whole tournament, and BBC have gone back to the original version of Drag Racer for their titles, which was a surprise. I did say that they changed production teams, and that seems to be their first change.
Bit of an interesting decision for the a new team to immediately go back to a retro design or a retro style, but then they probably recognise that that's what most snooker fans want, really, if we're honest. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be a bit controversial here. I actually preferred the modernised version of it. It's not that I don't like the old version.
Leave your complaints below. Leave all your complaints below. All emails directed to Joe Hannard.
Yeah. I do just really like the modernised version. I don't, and I like the different version in the snooker games and stuff as well. So yeah, it was a bit of an odd one to go back to, but obviously when the mid-session interval's on and they sort of play the music over sort of rolling facts about the players, it was still the modernised version. So I found that interesting.
Just on a loop.
Over and
over and over. It drives you snooker loopy because it's just over and over, isn't it?
It does, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, another thing with the BBC, and I'm sure we will discuss this in a future podcast, probably as part of Cue the Laughter, but the BBC must have had double digits number of commentators over the last week, considering it only went on for a week. I mean, what did you have? 8, 12, 14, 15 matches. That's all you had on the BBC. 15 matches, and I think you must have had close to 15 different commentators on the action. over that week. And I remember I kept messaging you, oh, this person's commentating now. It just, completely bizarre.
Yeah, well, there was Sean Murphy, Kyron Wilson, Stuart Bingham, Peter Ebdon, obviously
Mark Allen.
Mark Allen.
He was on the first match of the tournament with Ronnie O'Sullivan.
And we had JV, Parrott. I presume Davis did some commentary.
Davis did, yeah. Ken did.
Hendry, Ken.
And there was Shabnam Jewel. Is that whoever hosts the Framed podcast?
And she does a fantastic job of that podcast. I've not heard all of them. I've heard a few episodes, and she knows her stuff. So I was quite happy to see she popped up, because I think I'm presuming based on the fact she hosts that podcast, she actually does really like and care about the sport. She's not just some journalist who's been flown in. And also, I read apparently because she was doing like journalism on snooker, she actually entered a women's snooker tournament.
Oh wow!
Just to learn what the process was and what it was like. and obviously she got beat. She got beat 3-0 or whatever. But I really admire that commitment to your job. You know.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, a lot of respect. I think she did a good job as well. But just an odd decision for the BBC, and this all seems to have stemmed from Judd and Jack's outbursts a few years ago, and Judd and Jack were the ones that came into the commentary box during that tournament, and ironically, they weren't in this week in the commentary box or in the studio. So there you go. But I mean, obviously, you had your. I suppose it's triannual, isn't it? Of times when people have a go at Sean Murphy for commentating on a tournament. But I didn't see a single comment about Kyron Wilson, didn't see any about Mark Allen or Stuart Bingham. The only person that seems to get stick for it is Sean Murphy, unfortunately. And I think he is by far the best at it. Which might be a controversial opinion as well, because nobody seems to like Sean Murphy in the commentary box, so
I think he's very good at presenting and very good at that side.
I think he is as well. Yeah.
I just think
I suppose he suits our style, doesn't he? You know, we like the sort of more flamboyant, very expressive commentators and presenters of snooker, and that's what all of our podcast is based upon. Is sort of the more expressive sides of snooker, and it sort of makes sense that we like Sean Murphy, but it is the Eurosport crew, as I call them, that seem to give him a load of stick.
Speaking of flamboyant, did Rob Walker do any commentary as
well?
He
did, yes, he did. So there's 12. He commented on the 147 from Zhang Anda.
He did the 147 from Anda, and I wasn't happy with him. He was just like, he was getting too excited. Obviously, he should be excited, but it felt like he was. I mean, it's Rob Walker. Of course, he was overdoing it. He always does. But it was a bit much for me.
A bit much, yeah. I have to say, as much as I absolutely adore Rob Walker, and you know how big a fan of Rob Walker I am, I'm not a fan of his commentary. I have to admit, his commentary is. I'd rather he wasn't doing it. if I'm honest, because I think it's ruining. It's not his legacy, but it's ruining his aura at these events. I think because
aura he has.
I think he makes a bit of a fool of himself sometimes in the commentary box, because he goes very Phil Yates with his cliches, and I don't like it, and I really want to like him in the commentary box, but I mean, it's fine, you know, he's serviceable. He's so much better than half the drivel on Eurosport, but I'd always rather have Ken or Steve or John Parrott or John Virgo in there.
Well, they're bigger they're bigger sort of. Rob's a big personality, but I'd say they're more. They're personalities who know the game a lot better than he does. So it always feels a bit weird to have someone in there who hasn't played the game to either that high of a standard, or someone who's a bit, I don't know. I guess he's just, he tries to build it up and make it exciting when sometimes I think the action can speak for itself a bit. And I know some people would accuse Virgo of the same thing, but I think Virgo at least does it in a very, it's very genuine and it's very real. Like, he really does care where the cue ball is going every time. Whereas I feel like Rob Walker's got that thing in his brain sometimes where he goes, I have to look like I'm really excited, so I'm going to pretend to be really excited. When I'd rather just have real Rob Walker, but then I don't know if that exists.
Well, I sort of get it, because it is his job in a way, is to be over expressive and get people excited. It is his job, so I do understand it, and I think he does a good job. I'm not a massive fan of his commentary, and I know a lot of people won't be either. There's our little talk about the BBC's coverage. We always love the BBC coverage, and Hazel was on top form again, and all the little segments that the BBC do. I just really love it, and I think there's a lot to be said about as well that at the end of a frame they analyse the frame. They don't go to an advert. They actually talk about the big shots, and they talk about the psychology of what each of the players are thinking, and you've always got players that know what they're talking about actually doing that as well. I'm not saying Jimmy White and Neil Foulds don't know. They absolutely do. But I think it just gives a certain respect when you've got a 7-time world champion and a 6-time world champion sat next to each other talking about the ins and outs of the game. And I think when I was watching it this time, I really felt like, we're not going to an advert here. We're actually analysing particular shots and particular turning points of that frame, which you just don't get on the other side, whether it's ITV or Eurosport.
Well, the other side, it loses most of that sort of punditry because it has to go to an advert. So we would lose that because they literally go, okay, there's going to be a 40-second break. Okay, let's put in a 30-second advert. Boom, and that's it.
Yep.
So I always prefer the BBC coverage and the studio set up and all that stuff. And it was lovely to see the usual faces and the usual team. Bit of a shame they couldn't have got Dennis, considering they got bloody everyone else. But there we go.
Well, they seem to have this thing where they can only give John or Dennis these tournaments other than the World Championship. So, we'll see Dennis in January for the Masters. But
I like to think it's because when they get together, they're like two naughty schoolboys.
I mean, we did have it in the World Championship. I think John and Dennis did a session together, which it's a long time since that happened.
It's a dream session.
Well, they always used to do the final session of the World Championship together, and it is just a bit of a shame. But I feel like we can't talk about the BBC team and their commentators without just doffing our cap to the late great Terry Griffiths, who unfortunately and very very sadly passed away it was literally a few minutes after the final concluded, wasn't it? That news broke about Terry, and I know he'd been unwell for a while. He sort of hadn't been on the scene. He'd been battling dementia, so really really sad that he's died, and that's the third big snooker personality that has died. In recent months, obviously Ray Reardon and Clive Everton as well. And all three of them, the impact they've had on the world of snooker is just unmeasurable, really. So, certainly for me, a big rest in peace to Terry, and obviously prayers go out to his family and friends.
Absolutely. I mean, you only have to look at all the tributes from the current top players like Ronnie, Mark Allen, Bingham, Mark Williams. Everyone had a story about Terry, and they all spoke very highly of him, very fondly of him. So I think that really just shows when you're respected not just by your peers at the time, but by the future generations. That shows the lasting impact he had on the sport and how highly everyone thought of him. And of course, I think he's possibly is he the second member of the Matchroom mob that we've lost after Willie Fawn, I think.
Yeah, I think he is, and he was also actually the second player to complete the Triple Crown. Interestingly enough, I was reading the other day, which makes him an absolute legend. I think that there's only maybe 15 players in general, which, to put into perspective, we've nearly named 15 BBC commentators over the last week. So only 15 players since 1979 or whenever the true Triple Crown started that have won all three. So a massive achievement for Terry, and sad, and unfortunately we are in that sort of awful time period that over the next 10, 15 years, unfortunately, this is going to be news that we're used to. And, I'm sure it will be a very sad time over the next few years. But I think that absolutely shows we have to celebrate these people while they're still around. I know, Steve Davis and Dennis Taylor, they're going on tour next year for the 40th anniversary of the Black Ball final.
We have to go.
John Virgo's going to be emceeing that as well. So that,
are you going to go? When are you going? Joe, when are we going?
I don't know. I only found out that. I mean, they're doing it at the Crucible, one of the events. I wish I'd known that. It's all sold out now. But
no!
Yeah, for the Crucible. Yeah, but
we have to go. We have to go.
Yeah, we'll try and sort out what dates that is and what we can do. But that would be awesome. I mean that's sort of my message is, as much as people will have a go at the likes of Dennis Taylor and John Virgo and even Steve Davis to a lesser extent, if they're a bit long in the tooth, they shouldn't be doing this anymore. Let's appreciate them while they're still here, while they're still fit and able to commentate on these big moments. Because I don't know about you, Tom, but when Ronnie got his 1000th century a few years ago, and Clive Everton was the one commentating on it, I thought that added so much to that moment that we will never forget as watching it live, and having Clive commentate on that moment. For me, anyway, I think you don't want to miss out on that.
Yeah, I thought that was a really that was the perfect voice to commentate on that historical moment, and you just think, you don't want that to be a Rob Walker or a Dave Henton, do you? You want it to be no disrespect to either of those two people, obviously, but I think someone like Clive's got such history in the game as both a player, and then he was editor of Snooker Scene for many, many decades, which, back in the day, that was how people followed lots of snooker, because they didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, that's how they would know what was going on, and so that was such a huge sort of record of the history of the game, and I've actually bought a bundle of them a while ago, and I'm sure we can probably spend hours going through them because there's so many of them, and it's just a real sort of time capsule of a time in the game that without people like Clive Everton, it wouldn't exist, and without personalities like Terry Griffiths, snooker wouldn't be as big as it is now. So
no, absolutely.
Yeah, real shame.
Yeah, but obviously, that's just the sadder side of snooker and life in general. But we did have a great tournament at the UK Championship. I think it was such a high standard, and there were so many deciders, so many dramatic moments. And one of them actually happened on the opening day of the tournament. A bit unexpected, I've got to be honest. Ronnie going out to Barry Hawkins. Ronnie looked awesome. And again, it sort of lightning strikes twice. He played against Zhao Gudong in the Champion of Champions, was 3-0 up, was absolutely flying. Lost 4-3 because his opponent played really well in the second half of the match. I think the same happened with Barry Hawkins. Ronnie, I don't think made too many mistakes. Yeah, on the highlights reel, you'll see a couple of misses, but those were right at the end of the match when he'd been frozen out for 4 frames essentially, and he was already 60 points behind in that frame. So obviously massive pressure on some difficult pots. But Barry Hawkins, obviously we'll talk about him as he goes through the tournament, but that was a very impressive performance to come through against Ronnie. And how different could the tournament have been had he not done that?
Well, I think not only was it a big shock, but as you say, it was a huge comeback. And I think we also saw, there was a few matches that were a bit like that. Like I thought, okay, Ronnie's beat Barry, but he hadn't. And then I thought, okay, Mark Williams has beat Bingham, and somehow Bingham turned it around, even though he looked awful in the first 3 frames. Then
and also Bingham,
in the first 4, and then he looked rubbish in the rest of it. And that match was turned around, and he got knocked out by Ander. And you just go, like, it was crazy. It was 3 matches that were just properly like matches of 2 halves, where the odds you would have got on them turning out that way halfway through would have been huge. But for whatever reason...
and it was very similar with the likes of Michael Holt. He had a very good run to the quarterfinal, had a great comeback against Jack Jones. I think Jack Jones was 5-3 up and looked like he was clearing up to win. Lost 6-5. Luca Brissell was ahead against Jack Jones. Lost very late on in that match. Kyron Wilson was up early against Judd Trump, and then Judd Trump came back. There was lots of topsy-turvy matches like that. And one of the real standout matches of the tournament was Mark Selby versus Jack Klazowski. And Mark Selby had a 94.5% pot success and lost 6-4 against Jack Klazowski. So that, it just shows these best of 11s, obviously, we're both of an age, Tom, where we've seen lots of UK championships where it was best of 17 all the way through. 2-session matches, and obviously in these best of 11s you can have these freak results that just sort of turn, a little bit of momentum comes, and all of a sudden Robert Milkins, he looked like he was going to go through against Ding, and then Ding came back and won it. There's so many matches where that happened, and I think it just really added to the drama of the tournament, and actually probably sold best of 6s versus best of 11s versus best of 17s for this tournament, maybe for the first time. Because of the amount of drama that you had.
No, I would agree, because I think a lot of people didn't like the shorter format because it was obviously a change from the norm and they wanted it to be what it was traditionally. But I think the shorter format just works for this tournament. I think you need it to be that to make it different from the World Championship. You can't just have it the same as the World Championship but with less prize money. I don't see the point in doing that. So I think you need it to have its own little flavour, and if that flavour is best of 11s, then hey, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. I'd quite like the semi-final to be best of 17. They did that for the first couple of years of the short format. They still had best of 17s in the semis. I'd quite like that, because you don't really have another tournament other than the Worlds where that happens. They did have it for the Tour Championship a few years ago. They had the sort of 17, 19, 25 idea for the 3 matches, but they just go 19, 19, 19 now. But where I sort of understand from a scheduling point of view, a commercial point of view, it makes more sense to have the match done in one session. And, I mean, we're not probably going to dwell too much on some of the results, but just in terms of picking a few players that impressed you, were there any players that you'd like to pick out and talk about, or maybe players that didn't impress you and that you were quite disappointed with?
Luca Brissell, I was very disappointed, because he's really... This was an event he needs to have done well in, because there was so much money riding on it for him as a seed. And again, the pundits themselves said that he didn't seem bothered, and I think they're right. I think he wouldn't care if he dropped off the tour. I think he would just do something else, and I just don't think that's a good look if that's how you're going to play. I think if that's how you genuinely feel, then just drop off tour and retire, mate. Genuinely, if you want to do that, you can do a Nico Rosberg. You can just retire and stop, because I think turning up and frankly half-arsing it is just a really bad look for the sport.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Obviously, because it's Luca Brissell, but I just think it's,
I'm not surprised that's what happened. But now provisionally on the end of season list, he is 61. He's actually only £10,000 ahead of 65 at the moment, and good to see Marco Fu is currently 66, so it'd be nice to see him back in the top 64. But yeah, Luca Bracel, as we've talked about many times, is in huge danger of dropping off the tour, and he has only ever won matches at the World Championship when he won the event. Every other time he's been at the Crucible, he has lost. So he's going to be in the top 5 for the rest of the season until after the Crucible. But if he loses in that first round, then 500,000 is coming clean off his record, and he will drop off the tour. There's not actually that many tournaments left that he can get points in. Because he's not going to be in any of the players' tournaments towards the end of the season. The only ones that I can really see where Luca can possibly get some points is the Shootout, which he is playing in the Shootout, which will... is he playing in... No, not the Shootout, sorry. He's in the Scottish Open in a couple of weeks. So he's in that.
I think... I know they don't take it seriously, but I think surely the Shootout, if you win it, that guarantees you talk. Well, why would you
exactly.
Not
risk
it?
And somebody like Luca could win the Shootout quite easily. But yeah, so he's got the Scottish Open. I think the German Masters is another one that will be taking place after Christmas. And then he's got the Welsh Open. Other than that, I can't really think of any other tournaments that he will have other than the World Championship. So
I presume though maybe he is banking on the fact that every world champion who's dropped off tour has got an invitational tour card.
Well, yeah.
Maybe he feels like if you gave one to Hendry and gave one to Jimmy White for 20 years in a row, or whatever it is, maybe he feels like.
I mean, it's possible. It is possible, but then of course he'd go down to 0, wouldn't he? So he would be right at the bottom. Rather than if he stays on tour, he'll have 60 grand or 70 grand to build upon going into the future seasons. But no, it's an interesting one of whether he will. I kind of want to see it happen. I don't actually have a problem with Luca Bracel at all. I quite like watching him play, but just for the sheer of what will happen factor, I would love to see what would happen if Luca Bracel drops off the tour. What is going to happen? Who knows? Who knows?
Shall we talk about the prediction contest, Joe?
Yeah, well, I was hoping we wouldn't talk about that, if I'm honest.
Okay, we don't have to. It's fine. We didn't predict anything. La 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 la. It's all fine. I
mean, obviously, my top half of the draw was completely screwed by the fact that Zhao Gudong and Ronnie O'Sullivan lost in the first round. So I did predict Sean Murphy and Ding to win. I did predict Jack Lazowski to win. That was a highlight of mine. Jack Jones, I predicted him. But other than that, it was pretty slim pickings. I'm happy to go first, Tom. I was 748. No, I wasn't. I was 611 in the contest, and I scored 16 points.
Yes! What a victory with a resounding 17 points.
Oh, it was Bingham that did it for you, because you predicted Bingham to win that first round match.
It is like that's like a shootout score. That me winning 17-16. Yeah, the only quarterfinalist I got was Wilson. The only round 2 I got right was Murphy and Wilson, and apart from that,
I think that's probably our worst ever performance. I know we're not great at predictions, but that was dreadful. I had a really bad World Championship, but I don't think it was quite that bad. So
yeah, I'm glad that I won with my Murphy Bingham final. That somehow won me the points.
But yeah, of course, Judd Trump won. We don't usually like talking about Judd, do we? This sounds really bitter, but I'm not certain he actually played very well the whole tournament. I'm not certain he did. Neil Robertson had him. Kyron Wilson had him. Barry Hawkins, I think, had he took his chances, would have beaten him.
He's got the knack, though, at the moment. The last few years, he's really got the knack of not playing well but still winning.
And I think it's the same for Ronnie, isn't it? And is it this sort of aura? We talked about aura with Rob Walker before. Is it this aura of Judd Trump of people are starting to fear playing him? A bit like they do with Ronnie.
I mean, I think when you're world number one, I think that definitely puts and not only just world number one, but frankly, you're world number one and you can play someone who's ranked 5 and have twice as much prize money as them. That's going to intimidate them, isn't it? So,
well, he's nearly at 2 million prize money now for the last 2 seasons, which is an amazing achievement considering he hasn't won the World Championship in either of those 2 years. He's not even particularly done that well in the World Championship the last 2 years. So there's a lot of money on the table there for him, isn't there? And I mean, it's always a difficult one for me because he's now on 5 Triple Crown titles, which is 18 behind somebody like Ronnie, who's on 23.
Somebody like Ronnie, yeah.
Well, yeah, Ronnie. Obviously, Stephen Hendry, I think he's on roughly 18.
Mm-hmm.
So those players are in a completely different league. I mean, somebody like Mark Selby's got 4 world championships. And he, Judd Trump is only 1 Triple Crown title ahead of the 4 world championships that Mark's got on his own. Obviously, he's got plenty of Masters and UKs to go with that. And what's difficult for me is that Judd Trump, I think, is starting to be spoken about in the same breath as all of these players. And I'm not certain he's there yet. And you can say what you want, but you could have somebody like, let's go for Andy Murray, right, for tennis. If, let's say in a theoretical world, he won 100 career titles, but only 3 Grand Slams, and Roger Federer won 100 career titles and 20 Grand Slams, Roger Federer is still going to be the guy that is seen as just a completely different league of player to Andy Murray. And I think that that's almost one of the problems we've got with snooker's ranking system and the way the tournaments work and the way they're labelled, that a world championship victory is worth the same as a Gibraltar Open victory in terms of ranking titles. And that's one of the measures that we measure greatness on.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it, really? It does feel like there should be... I mean, maybe they shouldn't have so many ranking titles. Maybe there should be less of them. Because, as you say, it's kind of mad that... Michael Giorgio has won a ranking title.
Yeah, well, Michael Giorgio's won a ranking title, and if a player won the World Championship once and that was all they won, they'd have the same number of ranking titles as Michael Giorgio, and that just doesn't...
Even worse, so there's players who won the World Championship before it was a ranking event, who technically have less ranking titles than Michael Giorgio.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said, I think, about... And I think they've started to go that way with the Triple Crowns, but it seems to be a very BBC-heavy figure, that one. But even when you consider Ronnie's got 8 Masters titles, Judd's only got 2. Now, there is a possibility that over the next couple of seasons, Judd might overtake Ronnie's ranking titles total. And...
I think he will.
Yeah,
There'll be a lot of Gibraltar Opens or Riga Masters. Or...
Yeah, I don't know. We don't seem to have too many of those tournaments anymore, and I suppose as long as Ronnie's still about winning tournaments, but I mean, Judd's 35 now. He's not necessarily going to be in his peak for that much longer.
It depends. If he plays at his peak until he's 50.
Well, yeah. But
I think the one thing about him winning the UK for the second time, it means that now his Triple Crown streak is from 2011 to 2024, which is longer than players like Hendry. So he's already technically been at the top or near the top for longer than Hendry.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think there's a case to be had. I think, ultimately Judd is an all-time great.
Didn't like hearing you say that, mate. Didn't like it.
Yeah. But, is he anywhere near the top 5? Even the top 8? I'm not certain he is yet, for me. But he is somebody that people will talk about in 30 years, whereas they might not talk about a Stuart Bingham, unfortunately. They might not talk about...
Yes, they will! How dare you
all
say
right,
such a
okay.
thing?
They might not talk about Ali Carter. They might not talk
That's
about
fine.
Barry Hawkins, but they will talk about Judd Trump and the way he played. Like we're talking about Terry Griffiths, so like we're talking about...
I think anyone
Ray.
who wins a major Triple Crown will stand the test of time, just because they're such big events and they're captured by the BBC in front of
even
millions.
Zhao Xing Tong, Yan Bingtao. I mean, Zhao Xing Tong probably will, because we haven't talked about his return yet, but he played it pretty awesome against Sean Murphy. Luckily, Sean Murphy did get over the line. I think everybody wanted to see that happen. Zhao will probably be all right, but Yang Bingtao is out of the sport for another 5-6 years, isn't he? So
I think he was so young now. I think he will come back as well. I think he will. I wonder about the other players, the lower ranked players, because why do you want to come back from that ban to be ranked 80 in the world? I don't know why they'd necessarily be drawn back to snooker, but I think the guys who can make big money from it, Bingtao, Xing Tong, I think they'll both be back, because they both, probably know they can win a world championship if they knuckle down and work hard.
Yeah, but there you go. I mean, do you have any other closing remarks about the UK Championship before we get to the most wonderful time of the year?
No, I want to get straight to the most wonderful time of the year, yeah. As
so
Andy Williams once sang.
That is my favourite Christmas song, actually.
Is it?
It is, yeah.
How does it go?
It's the most hazelful time of the year. Anyway.
Oh, we need Dennis Taylor's Christmas classics.
So
it's a cracker.
So yeah, those of you that might be new to the podcast, or you haven't been around for one of our Shootout podcasts before, essentially there's 128 players. The way the Shootout works, it's a random draw. So anybody can win. There's one frame, 10 minutes, and a shot clock. Anything can happen, and it usually does. I mean, we've had incredible victories from you when you've had Stephen Hallworth in your team. He got the semi-finals a few years ago. Dominic Dale, the space sausage, quite often gets to the latter stages. And I had a big victory with Julian Leclerc a few years ago, because he got to the final and that completely turned around my week. So it's crazy. Me and Tom will pick a team of 8 players each, and we'll sort of divvy that up using the ABBA format, which more on that in a minute. And then every match they win will get some points. The later in the tournament that victory is, the more points they'll get. So they'll get 1 point for the first round, 2 points for the second round, 4 points for the third, and so on and so on. All the way up to, I think, 32 if they win the whole thing, which might have never happened. I'm not sure we've ever had
the
winner. We've got
You've got
close. We've had a
finalists.
few semi-finalists and finalists, so
Yeah.
you're in safe hands if you're a betting man listening to this. So, and there's some big players in the tournament this year. I'm looking at the draw now. We've got the likes of Mark Selby in there, Graham Dott, Ali Carter's in there, Chris Wakeland, Jack Jones. Neil Robertson's in there. Sean Murphy's playing Barry Hawkins in the first round. It's a huge one, isn't it? Si Jawi is in there. Some very big players. And, of course, the defending champion, Mark Allen, who was the first top 16 player to win the shootout last year. So, are there any names that are sticking out to you?
There's a few, but firstly, I'd say that people I'm surprised to not see take part. Kyron Wilson, because he seemed to really enjoy it last year. He had all his oven gloves and different gloves he was wearing at that time. Mark Williams, he usually turns up. I thought Luca Brissell would enter just because he might be able to get some ranking points. And no Dominic Dale. Very surprised to not see Dominic on the list.
Because he loves it, doesn't he, Dominic Dale? And we're not going to have any songs, so we won't be able to have any more cue the musics from Dominic Dale for this tournament anyway. You never know.
Maybe that's why. Maybe he's heard the podcast.
Perhaps
I'm not doing any more.
Perhaps that is why. Just some, notable names in there. We've got Jimmy White playing in the tournament, of course. Rhiannon Evans has entered. I know she hasn't entered all of the professional tournaments recently, but she is in the draw. We've got somebody called Sophie Nix, who is a Scottish women's snooker player. So she's going to be in there playing Anthony McGill in the first round. So that's going to be a very interesting match. And Crafty Ken is in the draw, and hopefully he can get a few victories under his belt. That would be really nice to see. And somebody that you've picked in the past, Bulshu Ravesh is in there against Farak Ajab. And I think, to be honest, you've probably had both of them in your team in the past. So
I think so, yeah. I think so.
And Stephen Wardropper is in there.
Who'd have thought it? We predicted him for Q score, and he's back. There we go. Proof.
He's back. He's back. We haven't got Dick Pipe, I'm afraid, but yeah. But there you go. Yeah, but since you were the victor in the UK Championship competition, I will give you the honours of picking first. So Tom will pick first, then I'll get two, then he'll get two, and we'll whittle down all the way to the last one. So you've got free pick of the 128 players, Tom.
Oh, it's got to be the man. It's got to be Stuart Bingham.
Stuart Bingham. Well, he's straight in there with the big guns. Stuart Bingham, of course, will be sponsored by Bingham's Hot Tubs during the tournament.
Mate, Chris Wakeland was sponsored by Hot Tubs of London.
Chris Wakeland's been having a go in Stuart Bingham's hot tub. I mean,
so much.
I'm already looking at a name here, and I'm probably going to regret this, but there's a Brazilian snooker player called Jonas Luz. He won the Pan America title to earn a place on the World Snooker Tour from 2024 to 25. He's playing Paul DeVille in the first round. I'm going to go for Jonas Luz as my first pick, and therefore he is my team captain.
Good luck. Good luck, Jonas.
I mean, we could have a twist this year. We could allocate a team captain that gets double points. No.
Okay, you've chosen Jonas. It's been done. Jonas is double point.
And I'm also going to go for... it's tough, isn't it? I'm going to go for Jack Lazowski. I've just got a feeling Lazowski could do quite well. So, over to you, Tom, to pick.
Oh, I'm going to go, actually, because I'm a bit surprised to see him here, actually. Neil Robertson. I don't think he's ever entered.
But he's been playing slow recently, so he'll probably run out of time.
He probably will. But I don't think he's entered it since it was a ranking tournament, so that's quite interesting to see he's there. And I will also go for... Let's go for Ulian Boyko.
Oh, okay. Ulian Boyko. Right.
Just fancy him to beat Lisowski, mate. Just fancy it.
You fancy it, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So Boyko. I'm gonna go for somebody that I think has been having a quietly underrated season this year. Stan Moody. Stan Moody.
Ah, he's got history in the shootout, of course.
He has, yeah. So I'm gonna go for Stan Moody. I'm also looking at that Hossein Vafai Julian Leclerc match. What a match that is! Was that the final a couple of years ago, or was it Chris Wakelin that beat Julian Leclerc? I can't remember now.
Wakelin beat Leclerc, so
Right.
because neither Leclerc or Vafai have won the shootout, I don't think.
I'm gonna go for Si Jawi, I think. Si Jawi. I think he suits the shootout. So that's my fourth out of the way. 2 to go for you.
Stephen Wardropper.
I knew he was going to go for Wardropper.
Come on, Wardropper, drop the bomb.
Yeah, he's playing Lewis Ulla in the first round. I mean, that match could go either way. It really could.
No, it's definitely Wardropper, mate. Definitely.
Go on, you've got another one to go.
Well, he's won it before, and he did well at the UK Championship, so I'm going to go Michael Holt.
Ooh, interesting. Interesting.
And now he'll go out in the first round, because history means nothing in this format.
It absolutely doesn't. Sean Murphy, obviously, got 147 last year. I'm looking at that match against Barry Hawkins, though, and I think either of those picks are really dangerous, because they could just easily go out in round one. But either of them could end up winning it. I'm going to go for Bayou Liu, who's playing Jamie Clark. I quite fancy her to do well, actually. Yeah, and the other player I'm going to go for is Oliver Lines. Ollie Lines. Again, as somebody that's having a bit of an underrated, under-the-radar season, I think. Okay, you've got 3 picks to go. 2 of them now.
Ooh, let's go with... Oh, it's such a... It messes with your head so much, because his form means nothing. None of it means anything in this format. Zhang Anda. Surely he's going to be... Just because he's the most confident I am who can beat Hatem Yassen. Surely. No offence, Hatem. Now he's going to win it, but there we go. If he does, I'll be happy for him. And also going to go for... let's go for Sophie Nix. Why not?
Oh, okay. Sophie Nix. Cool. Right. My final 2 picks then. So I'm going to go for Crafty Ken, just because he's a great player. And it would be nice to see him get to a last 32, last 16, something like that. That would be really nice. Some really great matches. I mean, you've got Matthew Stevens against Yuan Sijun. You've got Graham Dott versus Ben Mertens, which I think is a big match in the shootout anyway.
Wait, you got Tep Chaya against Jimmy White.
Tep Chaya against Jimmy White. I mean, unbelievable, isn't it? Alfie Burden against Ben Wollaston. I mean, that's a very closely matched match. You got Fan Zheng Yi male versus Wang Yuken.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at who's got the closest ranking. So it's very. Chris Totten, Dwayne Jones. There's 15 between them. Oh no, Ian Burns and Ma Hailong. There's 7 between them.
Wow.
Surely can't be that many people closer. Surely.
Is Wu Yiza playing in this this tournament? Yes, he is. He's playing. I'm going to go for Wu Yiza. And he is my final pick, so all yours, Tom. He's gone quiet, which means he's plotting.
Artemis Seasons.
Okay. It's not what I would have thought you went for, but you know.
I was so close to saying Rory 4 or Mustafa Dorgum.
Zizins. Right. So.
Oh no, I've left David Lilley out. I'm sorry.
You can have David Lilley. I'll let you have David Lilley if you want David Lilley. Do you want him?
Yes. Always.
The Tyneside sausage. No Stephen Hallworth this year, I'm assuming.
Oh, that's sad to see. That was when he was first known publicly as the Lincolnshire sausage.
Yeah, maybe that's why he's not doing it now. But, yeah, so just to recap the teams, I'll recap mine first, then Tom's, and then, Tom, you can pick a team captain. So, Jonas Luz for me, Jack Lasowski, Stan Moody, Si Jia Hui, Bayou Liu, Ollie Lines, Ken Doherty, and Wu Yiza. Team Tom, we've got Stuart Bingham, Neil Robertson, Julian Boyko, Stephen Wardropper, Michael Holt, Zhang and Sophie Nix, and David Lilley. So, one of those players, Tom, you can pick as your team captain, and they will get you double points at the end of the tournament.
For torn between which beautiful bald man to pick. Bingham or Lilley? Let's go, Lilley. David Lilley's the captain.
David Lilley's the captain. Well, there you go. He's probably just thrown it all away with that decision.
You'll see. You'll see.
I'll see. Right. I am going to go for
Come on, David.
Ollie Lines as my team captain.
I think David Lilley did well last year. I think I'm remembering that. So hopefully that's...
I think, did he get the quarters? Was it the quarterfinal? I think. But there you go. There is our shootout predictions for 2024. Do let us know down in the comment section your predictions for, or at least your team selection. I don't think it's possible to really make predictions for the shootout because you're going to get them wrong. But yeah, do let us know anyway what you think is going to happen and which players you think will do well, and feel free to get involved in the contest with your own team of 8.
There we go. I think they're all good choices. I'm happy with all of them.
Very good. Speaking of Fan Zheng Yi mail, Tom, just before we get into our usual segments, should we read out a couple of the messages we've had over the last few months? Certainly looking at the comments from the last video, lots of people saying really glad to have the podcast back. Another great episode. Would like to see C win it, but I think Murphy or Trump. That's what Matthew was thinking for the UK Championship, so you got Trump right, I suppose. When I was a kid, it was all SIG's sponsors. This is from My Name Is Nobody. The first snooker on TV was with my gran, which was just before she passed away. This was on the first day of the 1985 final game when you were 10 years old. Wow. What a memory.
What a first memory of snooker. That's amazing. No wonder you're hooked.
Yeah, and then we had a couple of suggestions for Masters sponsors, and just lots of people being very kind, really, which is very nice. So thank you very much for that. I do want to get Lars's email across, because we know Lars always has an entertaining email. So he did email back in October, and I mean, I have no idea what this is about, Tom, but the subject is, can I count on your vote? So, have a listen to this. Courage, tenacity, strength, grit. Some of Selby's qualities on the bays. We agree so far? Do we agree?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah? I know you are both not a big fan of his, so try and stretch your imagination just for now. I'm starting a PR campaign for changing the nickname of Mark Selby. No one takes the jester from Leicester seriously. He deserves to be taken seriously, as he just showed in Cheltenham, looking good as ever. Loved every minute of that final. That was some fantastic stuff from both, but particularly Mark. Stephen Hendry called it, if not the best session of snooker that he commented on. That got to count for something. Hendry doesn't throw nice words around willy-nilly. But I'm getting sidetracked. I'm thinking, considering his playing style and resilience on the bays combined with his Leicester roots, a more fitting nickname would be the Lionheart. Hold for applause is what he's put in brackets. Tumbleweed is going across, I think, by the looks of Tom there.
Bit arrogant, mate, but okay, fair enough.
I mean, think about it. The nickname conveys both courage and tenacity, qualities that Selby, as previously stated, is known for in snooker. It also subtly references his Leicester roots. The lion is often a symbol of strength and bravery, aligning well with his mental toughness and strategic prowess on the table. You guys on board? Before I sign off, missing the more regular releases, no pressure, just got spoiled over the World Championship. Yeah, thank you very much, Lars. He did send another email very fast after that. He said, loving this fast and thick snooker action we're having. Day after day after day of matches.
What channel was he watching?
Snooker Extra, I think. Anyways, wanted to send a note and let you know. He sent a version of the below email to David Hendon too, and he already read it out on his podcast, so I'm thinking I'd look silly if a very similar email was read out on another podcast. Well, sorry, Lars, I've just done that.
Is Lars cheating on us?
He's cheating on us.
With Dave Hendon?
With Dave Hendon, of all people, yeah.
Oh.
Or I would look silly rather is what it about Lars, not me. It was more or less verbatim, copy and paste. I was feeling very lazy. Anyways, read it out if you still think it's worth your time. If not, no hard feelings. Well, I wish I'd read that before. No, I'm joking. On another note, with the UK Championship coming up, you guys thinking about doing more regular show? Yeah, well, we did that. Triple Crowns, no Saudi is not a Triple Crown, not a fourth major. Loved the coverage during the World Championship. Yeah, Q Tour was just in Sweden. His old stomping grounds, a 147 was made by Xing Tong. First ever in Sweden, apparently. Wow. Very interesting indeed. But thanks as always, Lars, for getting in touch. We do appreciate it. And we had one from Peril Design as well.
Quickly, I'll just say about the Lionheart. The Lionheart, it's close, but they won't provide any solace.
Yeah, his name's not Richard, so he can't really be called.
And I like the Jester from Leicester. I think
I quite like Satnav Selby as well. Satnav Selby's good.
Yeah, that's a really good one actually. I think I'd rather Satnav Selby than.
Well, when I christened him Satnav Selby. So yeah, from Peril Design. So Paul at Peril.
Hold on. Do you think Dennis actually christened him and like put the water on his head and when I christened him and he
I really hope so. I really hope so.
The church and everything.
So Paul at Peril Design says, hi fellas, how's everything going? We're clearing out some clutter earlier at my mum's house in Lincoln, and I happened across this article in a local magazine about none other than the Lincolnshire sausage himself. Enjoy. So this is an article, and I will try and put it up on the screen for people that are watching. It's called Steve's Queued Up. And I'm just going to paraphrase it because it is a fairly long article. I don't know much about this sport. My own personal prowess began in my dad's work social club. I never won anything, but I take pride in the fact I never lost anything either. Besides, at this point in my life, playing a bit of pool on a Saturday night was never going to make me famous. I wanted to win an Oscar. Oh, the innocence of youth, my youth anyway. Because playing pool and subsequently snooker is what one young city man does. Stephen Hallworth is currently unranked in the world, but he is Lincoln's only professional snooker player. I realised I was good and could maybe turn pro at 16 when I started playing full-time. Playing snooker full-time must be quite challenging and, dare I say, boring. But Steve assures me it's not. It's not a slog at all. I enjoy practicing and travelling around competing against other players. Steve knows he might...
Why would you write that bit in the article about it being boring?
Steve knows he might be professional.
What this guy dedicates his life to, I might say it might be boring and tedious. What are you doing, Stephen?
Yeah. Steve knows he might be professional, but he doesn't take it for granted and knows he's very fortunate. Being a pro hasn't changed me at all. It's made me appreciate how fortunate I am to play snooker for a living and that I'm able to play this game on a daily basis. I treat people how I want to be treated, and that's how I've always operated. So how does the life of a professional snooker player feel? It's difficult when we are away, particularly when it's for a long period of time, like this week in Albania. I'm away from my soon-to-be wife and dog, and
soon-to-be dog.
I don't know if they're the same. His wife and his, and I do miss them.
Good for you, Stephen. Good for you, mate.
And I do miss them and my home comforts a lot. Personally, I'm not sure I could do it, but it's a choice Steve has made and tells me, I'm here to do a job, and that has to be my focus. I know my profession inside out, and there's a lot of sacrifices I've had to make over the years. Hopefully one day when it's all come good, it'll have been worth it. Steve is both honest and realistic and admits, I'm focused on what I need to do and have incredible backing and support from my family and friends. With a job that takes him away for days and even weeks at a time, I can't help wondering if he misses Lincoln. But it seems the city maybe comes in slightly lower than 2 or 3 other factors for Steve. I look forward to taking the pup out for a long walk with the wife and then getting back home to the kitchen and cooking a nice meal for her. I love cooking and drinking the wine whilst cooking. So this is my way of showing my appreciation for her, and it's nice to just chill out and do nothing. Steve has been playing in a variety of tournaments recently, and on March the 3rd, he won the oldest tournament in British snooker, the English Amateur Championship. So well done, Steve, and may there be many more titles to come. That's by Joe Can. There you go. So beautiful. Thanks for that, Paul. We do appreciate that. Please, if you find anything like that, do send us it through. Yeah, it would be absolutely
if anyone
fabulous.
Else just stumbles upon a random article about Stephen Hall.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's a pity they didn't talk about sausages in there, but there it goes. Yeah. But yeah, we've got one more bit of fan-sharing email from Alec, long-time subscriber. He says, hi guys, hope all is going well. I've been loving the content recently. Can't wait for more as the season progresses. Check this out on WST. Seems like Zach Surety is a top player. Very random, but just thought you guys would like it. Anyway, keep it going. Love the content. So he sent a little article as well. So it's I don't know what this is about, but it says who's playing. It's an outstanding lineup of players, including defending champion and world number 1 Judd Trump, local favourite and all-time greatest Ronnie O'Sullivan, world champion Kyron Wilson, Mark Allen, John Higgins, Mark Selby, Sean Murphy, Mark Williams, Luca Brissell, Essex Aces, Ali Carter, Stuart Bingham, Matthew Selt and Zach Surety, plus many more. Both Trump and Higgins are close to the milestone of 1,000 career centuries, with the Englishman on 997 and the Scot on 998. So there you go. Zach Surety is apparently in there with the Essex Aces of Ali Carter, Stuart Bingham, and I can't even remember who the other one was. Who was the other one? Matthew Selt. Ready Selted himself.
Well done. Well done, Zach. For joining the club.
Well, there you go, Tom. So that's our Fan Zheng email. And thank you for getting in touch, everybody. And if you do want to get in touch, then, of course, do leave a... email us at the below points. So please do that.
Or it's Snooker Loopy pod@gmail.com.
Snooker Loopy podcast at gmail.com.
It's been a while, I'd forgotten. Okay, Snooker Loopy podcast at gmail.com.
There you go, for our Fan Zheng email.
Beautiful stuff. What of our final 2 features, Joe, would you rather do first? Would you rather cue the music, or would you rather cue the laughter?
Let's cue the music, Tom.
Let's cue the music. What I have for you today. It's not really... I think it counts as music, in a way. It's not really a song. You'll see what I mean, but I think it still counts. It's still, for me anyway, it's in that regard, it's different from anything we've ever done.
I'm a bit worried about this, Tom. I'm not going to lie. I always do get a little bit worried when Tom goes rogue.
Oh, just read maybe the title out.
Right. I'll put it onto my solo camera so that you can see my reaction to this. Rob Walker's poem, tribute to snooker legend Stephen Hendry. Right. As I say, folks, I always get very worried when it comes to these things. And I think rightfully so, if I'm honest. But anyway.
He's a poet, mate, Rob Walker.
Right. I've got it up, Tom. I've got it up. Now, what's the description? Rob Walker pays tribute to 7-time world champion Snooker Hendry. Stephen Hendry, sorry, not Snooker Hendry.
Snooker Hendry.
Who announced his retirement after his quarterfinal defeat by Stephen Maguire. He made a 147 on the opening day. Yeah, okay, cool. Right. Okay. I'm ready when you are, Tom.
Get you in the mood as to what this guy has done for the game and what he's done here at the Crucible. We have written a little poem to pay tribute to the king of the Crucible. This might jog a few memories along the way, so it's only a minute and a half, but please do remember all these great things that he's done. Here we go. 86 was the year he first graced the big stage. 17, this great Scots record tender age. He lost to the thorn, but a seed had been sown. He would return, experience grown. The following year, the victories begun, and so too the drive up to world number 1. Grand Prix, Asian Open, They all came his way, but it was here at the Crucible he most wanted his say. And so to the 90s, his decade to shine. It started a rivalry which white would define. Jimmy got close, he gave it a go, but it was always King Hendry who stole the show. 94 was the closest, the whirlwind was on. Jimmy was winning, surely Stephen was gone. But a black off its spot somehow didn't go in, and once again, it was Hendry's to win. With the first one in 90, then 5 in a row, he was on 6, just Steve's record to go. Second to Ken, then Jimmy's first round delight, but the stage was set for one more glorious night. Williams succumbed to a magnificent 7, the greatest of all in his own snooker heaven. For more than 10 years he continued to care. The passion, the breaks, that cold winning stare. Even this year when he decided to go, it was maximum style, as always, on show. Down came the curtain with a smile and a wave as the sport bade farewell for all that he gave. But, great Scott, there is one more task. A final Champions Night bow is all that we ask.
Well, there you go, Tom. There you go. You know what? We might laugh about it, but it was actually half decent.
I want to know who wrote it, because Rob Walker just goes, "Oh, we've written a poem." I'm like, no, Rob, who has written this poem about Stephen Hendry, and who has gone, "Hey guys, I've got a great idea.
Well,
I'm going to read a poem about Stephen Hendry," and he's there.
Yeah. I can't imagine Stephen Hendry liking that at all, if I'm honest. Maybe what we should do is write down the lyrics to that and send that to him on Cameo and see what his reaction is to that. He might actually read that out.
Do you think he would?
No, I don't. I mean, I find this very difficult to rate, Tom, because it's not a song. But would I rather listen to that again or Minted by Jimmy White? You know, that's really what we have to consider here.
It would be a song if we put a beat behind it.
Well, yeah, anything could be a song in that case, couldn't it?
No, but it's got a rhythm. It's got a lyrical quality. I'd say it's
Now, well, is it better than Ruby by Stephen Hendry's Rubbish? Is it better than Somewhere Over the Rainbow by Alex Higgins' great niece?
Yes, but she was about 4 years old.
Yeah. You know what? I think
it's not a compliment to Rob Walker, a man in like his mid-40s, to go like, "Well done, Rob. Your poem was better than a 4-year-old singing."
I'm going to give it a 4, Tom. I'm going to give it a 4 because I gave the Romford rap a 5, and I think I'd just slightly rather listen to the Romford rap.
But Rob was so proud of his poem, Joe. He wanted to show the world. He was up all night writing that.
He was, yeah. He was.
He just wanted to make Stephen Hendry smile.
He did. He just wanted him to be happy.
I mean, yeah, I'm in a way, it's classic Rob Walker, because it's just a bit baffling. I don't hate it, but I'm not sure I like it either.
I think that's fair.
I can't just go, okay, don't do that too much. I don't mind it once every 10 years, but please.
Yeah.
I'd give it a 5, you know.
5.
5. I respect the fact he did it. I'm presuming he wrote it as well. Or has he got a whole team? Did Dave Hendon also co-write it? I don't actually know.
Right.
But
I'm giving it a 5. I've put 5 in on the system. That actually puts it level with the Romford rap.
What?
Yeah.
Well done, Rob Walker.
Well done, Rob Walker. It puts him in at number 38 of our ranking.
Let us know in the comments or email if you want more poetry by Rob Walker.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. But then, you've got the World Final 2024 rap, which was just, I mean, we both gave that a 9, didn't we? By K. Dot. So, yeah. There you go.
If anyone wants to remix Rob Walker's poetry and put like a beat behind it, maybe speed it up.
Please do.
But there is more. There's a poem he did about Wimbledon that's on the official Wimbledon channel.
All right. Okay.
But I had no idea he also did. He's a man of many. Well, he attempts a lot of things.
Yeah,
I don't want to say many,
he's
many
a jack of all trades, master of none, I think is what you're trying to say.
Yes, he's a Jack Nazowski of all trades.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Thanks for that, Tom. Thank you. No, that was really cool actually to see. I guess the raw emotion of Stephen Hendry retiring. We haven't really had that moment since of a player retiring at the top of the game. We've obviously had the likes of Peter Ebdon quietly retire, but nobody of the I guess Steve Davis when he retired in 2016. I guess that was the only other one, but he wasn't right at the top of the game, I suppose.
I think if Jimmy ever gets back to the Crucible, he will finally retire.
Well, he's not going to make it back to the Crucible, so I don't think he's ever going to retire.
He's been flying in practice.
He's
flying in practice.
Well, I've also heard that pigs were flying in his practice room, so,
That's an environmental issue at Jimmy White's house. We can't go into that for legal reasons.
Yeah. But, I hope I'm wrong. I really hope he does manage it, but it's just so tough now. But, he's having a decent season. It's just whether he can win 4 matches to qualify for the Crucible. I can't see it. I thought his best chance was a couple of years ago, actually.
Well, the best of 19 format isn't going to help someone like Jimmy White at his age.
No.
To be blunt about it.
Yeah. No, you're bob on. So shall we cue the laughter, Tom?
Yeah, let's cue the laughter. Now, what I've got for you, Joe. Well, there's one item. This wasn't the official cue the laughter, but I just thought it made sense to share it this episode because you shared an article about Stephen Hallworth. So this is another little newspaper clipping that I stumbled upon on eBay.
Oh, on eBay. Very good. Right. Let me just see if I can sort out actually looking at this while we're right. Apologies to people at home that are just currently watching me do all of this. We're all about the height of professionalism around here, so right, I'm hoping that this should work. Yes, it should do. Okay. So it's an article. It seems to be about the great WT, Tom. I don't know if you want to explain a bit about it.
It's an article from 1985 about Willie Thornton's wedding day. The headline is Willie's Perfect Match.
Willie's Perfect Match. Well, there you go. I'm getting it out. Getting it out now. Do you want to? Well, I'm getting the article out anyway. Not any other willies. I don't know if you want to read it out, Tom.
Okay. Snooker star Willie Thorne got married yesterday and announced that his bride is expecting twins. Willie, 30, wed Fiona Walker, 26.
Walker?
Walker. Willie wed Rob Walker's mum? Sister?
Willie Thorne is Rob Walker's dad. And Ryan
sense.
Walker's dad.
I knew there was some family resemblance there. It's all in
And Dan Walker's dad.
Well, he could be a former Leicester goalkeeper Ian Walker's dad. That would kind of make sense.
And also Mark Williams and Ronnie O'Sullivan and Mark Allen's coach Lee Walker's dad.
Willie puts him about, all right? That's all we know. Willie put it about. That's why there's twins.
Yeah.
But yeah. They were wed at Oatby Parish Church, Leicester. The match attracted an audience of snooker players.
Ooh.
Former world champion Cliff Thorburn was there, along with David Taylor and Rex Williams, plus TV presenter Dickie Davis from World of Sport. Is it World of, I think there's two S's there. I think must be a typing error. World of S Sport. That's not a thing, is it? World of Sport.
A world of sport. It's for people with lisps. There you go.
But a soccer star. Soccer? What? This is in the mirror. Why are they saying soccer? But a soccer star, England international striker Gary Lineker, was Willie's best man. The bridegroom himself was smiling but nervous, and he says, "Top games just don't come any bigger than this one today," he said, almost as if though he was back at... I'll read a bit again. So he said, "Top games just don't come any bigger than this one today. Almost as though you were back." That's really hard to say that sentence. Joe,
Just
you said
say
a bit
it.
at the end.
For the third time lucky now, top games just don't come any bigger than this one today, he said, almost as though he were back at the Crucible.
Oh, there we go.
There they are, the happy couple.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I'm leaving that in, Tom, so people will know. People will know. There's no way I'm going to remember to edit that out, so...
Wow.
So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that little article, everybody. That was very nice. No, thanks for that, Tom. I mean, are you going to buy this article for $4.99?
I'd like to think that sometimes there's things I'm tempted to buy, like this article, but by putting it in the podcast, I've got it forever, so I don't need to buy it. So it's just saved me a fiver, to be honest.
Very true. Very true. There you go. But no, thanks for that one, Tom. And obviously, keeps us in the theme, I guess. Yeah. I hear Discord though. You've sent me something else. What have you sent me?
Well, this is the main thing I found for Kid Laughter. I just thought that article fit in for the theme of the Hallworth article. But this, Joe, is a World Snooker Champions Impact Art, and it's, from what I can see...
Let me just get that up for the viewers at home.
From what I can see, it was something in 2006 where a bunch of snooker players hit a cue ball covered in paint, and it made a drawing on some bays, I believe.
Yeah, it looks cool.
And it says those players include Terry Griffiths, rest in peace, Steve Davis, John Parrott, Stephen Hendry, Mark Williams, Peter Ebdon, Ronnie O'Sullivan, Graham Dott, Ken Doherty, Dennis Taylor, and John Higgins. So there we go.
Wow. That's really cool.
There's a picture
and
of
you've
Ronnie,
got a picture of Dennis there doing it?
Yeah.
Dennis
So
and Ronnie.
It says it's an edition of 50, apparently, and it's 500 quid, so I don't know how rare these are.
I was going to say, how much is this? I might get it. And then, yeah.
Well,
500 quid.
Yeah.
I could have two Stephen Hendry action figures for that, Tom.
I mean, there might be a cheaper one elsewhere. I've not actually looked. I just stumbled upon it and went, oh no, yeah, it's £499 in a different shop. Fair enough. Okay, so maybe that's the going rate for it. But there we go. I thought that was quite interesting.
No, really good, really cool, actually. I would love to see a video of them doing that.
Yeah, I don't know when they would have. It must have been like a BBC feature or something, surely, for them doing that.
I would imagine
just
so.
Do
Yeah,
it and not tell anyone, but
yeah. Well, there you go.
yeah. Oh, and it goes to a charity for seriously ill young adults. So there we go. That's quite nice.
Very good, very good. So if you want to buy that and gift it to either me or Tom, that would be amazing.
Or if you want to buy an article about
Willie
Ford's wedding,
yeah,
keep it to yourself.
The great WT. Yeah. No, thanks for that one, Tom. I really like that picture. I'm gutted it's £500.
Oh, it's stranger because it's a print, isn't it? It's not.
It's not the actual base, yeah.
Unless do they sign over the print? But because if it was those players and it was the actual base and it was those signatures, I'd get it because having all those players sign. I mean, anything Ronnie signs is probably worth at least £100 because it's Ronnie. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I do have one of Ronnie O'Sullivan's balls in my room, so yeah,
too
just
much
down there,
information,
sort
Joe.
of staring at me.
Too much information, staring at you. Oh.
Staring at me, yeah. It's actually had quite the battle with Stu Bingham's balls and John Virgo's ball up there. So looking forward to getting more balls next year, Tom, at the Crucible.
Any particular balls you're looking out for?
I mean, a Dennis Taylor one. I think a black ball, Dennis Taylor. I think that would be awesome. So.
Oh, they're bound to sell them at the tour they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We will find out. Snooker Loopy podcast goes on tour.
Yeah. Well, you'd want a Dennis Black, you'd want a Willie Thorne blue, I guess. Even though he's famous for missing the blue, so maybe you wouldn't.
Well, maybe, yeah. You want a Stephen Hendry Brown.
Yep.
You'd want a Jimmy White.
Yeah. Sean Murphy pink. I can just imagine he would like pink.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
quite flamboyant.
Yeah. But I currently have a Ronnie O'Sullivan green, 2 Stuart Bingham reds, and a John Virgo cue ball. So.
There we are.
There we go.
There we go.
But no, pleasure as always, Tom, and I'm sure we will be back in the next couple of weeks because we are heading towards Christmas, so we will be getting towards our Christmas special.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Where, of course, this year we've got the added pleasure of reviewing our shootout predictions, which I think will be fun. So that's a good one. I've had a couple of ideas, Tom, of things we could do for a Christmas special, but I'm not going to announce them on the podcast. But something that we could do. I don't know whether you'd be up for it or not, but you probably would, knowing you. But
yeah, I mean, almost certainly yes.
Almost certainly yes.
Does it involve paying Sean Murphy a lot of money to sing Christmas songs?
Oh, well, it didn't until now.
Do you know what's hilarious? I looked at his Cameo page.
Yeah.
And him singing Snooker Loopy is the only order he's ever had.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He probably thinks they're all like this. Everyone will ask me to do this.
Yeah. I mean, we've got to try and email some other people, haven't we? So.
Well, if anyone knows anyone, like, they don't have to be, obviously, a big name, but we've had all sorts of different people throughout the podcast who've sung the song. So if you know someone, and even if they're just former amateur champion or they once played Elliot Slesser, whatever. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And then we can ask, no one proper or famous, but someone who just once lost to Elliot Slesser, for example. That'd be quite good to get them singing Snooker Loopy.
Yeah. Well, I think that's got to be for episode 147, Tom. It's got to be me and you singing Snooker Loopy. So, we've got a bit to go until that.
Yeah, that's the maximum break, is us finally singing it. Giving ourselves plenty of time.
Yeah, to rehearse.
Mate, you've got to get a studio, all this stuff, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got to get a cameo from Dominic Dale, got to pay him to do it.
Yeah. The worst thing is he would do it. He would do it. 100%. He probably already has sung Snooker Loopy somewhere. But,
I've not found it. I've looked for it.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Who knows? I'm sure Fionn knows all about it anyway. He's our resident Dominic Dale expert, isn't he? So
he is.
There you go. Right, Tom. Let's wrap it up and let our lovely viewers and listeners have some sleep.
Absolutely. Thank you all very much for joining us. Enjoy the shootout. Let us know all your predictions below. Let us know what you thought of Rob Walker's poetry. Do you want more of it? There is more of it, but I don't want to lose listeners. So let us know if you want more of that. Or, there's an endless amount of stuff that we could have for Cue the Music. So we probably won't do another poem for a while, but that's in the bag if we ever want.
Yes, absolutely. And any more songs and anything you want us to look at, obviously Cue the Laughter, we really do want to hear. So do get in touch with the links down below, or on Twitter, or just in the comment section to the videos. We do read everything. So yeah, but big thank you for all of the support. I know it was a while between episodes, but we're back now, and we will certainly be regular from now until the end of the season and beyond. So yeah, looking forward to it, Tom.
Yeah, and looking forward to the shootout very much, because
it's going to be exciting.
There's always something new that is born at the shootout, whether it's
blue,
exactly, whether it's yellow, or whether it's them singing gold to Martin Gould, or whether it's Dominic Dale singing, or the Lincolnshire sausage, or Kyron and his wood oven gloves. There's always a new bit of singing.
And
so
welcome,
sure
ready salted Matthew Selt.
Someone is going to have a stupid nickname to make up for Hallworth not being there. So yeah. I'm hoping it'll be ready salted.
Yeah. And on that note,
we will catch you all very soon.